He can see the future, but only 2 minutes ahead. Chris Johnson has an ability that no one else in the world possesses. He can see into his own future, but his gift comes with strict limits. Chris can only see 2 minutes ahead, no more. Every choice he makes branches into different possibilities, and he can see how each action leads to a different outcome. He does not simply see one future, he sees many, and then chooses the one he prefers. There is only one exception to this rule. Years earlier, Chris experienced a vision unlike any other. In that vision, he saw a woman walking into a diner. He didn't know her name. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know why she mattered. All he knew was the exact time she would appear, 8:09. Since that moment, Chris has returned to the same diner twice every single day at exactly 8:09, waiting for the woman from his vision to finally arrive. Outside of this ritual, Chris lives a quiet and carefully controlled life in Las Vegas. He works as a small-time magician, performing simple tricks for tourists. To most people, he is nothing more than a forgettable entertainer. But Chris uses his ability to survive. At night, he gambles in casinos, carefully winning small amounts of money. He never wins too much. He knows that drawing attention would be dangerous. He looks ahead 2 minutes, sees which bets will succeed, and walks away before anyone gets suspicious. Despite his caution, Chris eventually attracts attention. FBI agent Callie Ferris has been tracking unusual activity connected to a man who seems impossibly lucky. Through careful observation and analysis, she begins to realize the truth. Chris Johnson is not just lucky, he can see the future. Ferris wants to bring Chris in for one reason. A group of French terrorists is planning to detonate a nuclear weapon on American soil. The FBI is desperate, and Ferris believes Chris's ability could be the key to stopping the attack. Before Ferris can approach him, Chris's gambling triggers alarms within the casino. Security begins monitoring him closely. That night, everything spirals out of control. A man enters the casino and prepares to open fire. Chris sees it before it happens. Using his power, he stops the shooter before anyone is killed, taking him down with frightening precision. But this heroic act exposes him. Casino security immediately turns on Chris, and police are alerted. What follows is a carefully choreographed escape. Chris predicts every move of his pursuers. He sees which hallways will be blocked, which exits will be sealed, and which moments will give him just enough time to slip away. He evades casino security and the Las Vegas police with ease, vanishing into the city. Ferris tracks Chris to his hideout. She believes she finally has him cornered. But Chris foresees her arrival moments before she reaches him and escapes once again. Later that same night, the casino's head of security is approached by 2 men. They are not interested in gambling. They interrogate him about Chris Johnson. When he gives them what little information he has, they kill him. The following morning, Chris returns to the diner at 8:09. And this time, the vision finally becomes real. A woman named Liz Cooper walks through the door. Chris immediately realizes something extraordinary. Not only can he see the future, but when Liz is involved, his ability changes. The futures stretch farther. The paths multiply in ways he has never experienced before. Liz sits down, unaware that she has already altered Chris's life completely. When Liz's aggressive ex-boyfriend arrives and begins harassing her, Chris sees dozens of possible outcomes. He watches futures where he intervenes and gets beaten, futures where Liz walks away, and futures where nothing changes. Then he finds the outcome he wants. Chris steps in, diffuses the situation, and earns Liz's trust. For the first time, he chooses a future not for survival, but for connection. Using his power, Chris learns that Liz is heading to Flagstaff, Arizona. He carefully manipulates events, tricking her into giving him a ride. Liz agrees, unaware that she has stepped into something far bigger than she realizes. Ferris follows them. Meanwhile, the terrorists decide that Chris Johnson must be eliminated. As Chris and Liz travel together, Ferris pushes her superiors for permission to bring Chris in. The nuclear weapon has been tracked to Los Angeles, and time is running out. Ferris believes Chris is their best chance. The terrorists follow as well, hoping the FBI will lead them straight to Chris. That night, Chris and Liz stop at a motel. Ferris approaches Liz alone. She tells Liz that Chris is a dangerous sociopath. She claims he is manipulating her and asks Liz to drug Chris so the FBI can take him in without violence. Liz hesitates. Instead of betraying him, Liz warns Chris. With no choice left, Chris tells her the truth. He explains his ability to see the future and admits that he has been using it to survive. Liz struggles to believe him, but his knowledge of things he could not possibly know convinces her. When Liz asks why Chris refuses to help the FBI stop the terrorists, he explains his limitation. He can only see 2 minutes ahead, except when it comes to her. He doesn't know why, but Liz changes everything. Chris attempts to flee again. As the FBI closes in, Chris foresees a deadly accident and saves Ferris from logs tumbling down a mountainside. Despite this, he is captured. Now completely out of options, Chris is taken into custody. At the same time, the terrorists strike back. They kidnap Liz. With Liz now in the hands of the terrorists, Chris Johnson is pushed into the worst possible future he can imagine. The FBI restrains him, strapping him to a chair inside a secure facility. Unable to physically act, they force him to sit still and stare at a television screen. Their plan is simple. If Chris watches live news coverage long enough, he might see a vision of the nuclear bomb detonating before it actually happens. Chris struggles against the restraints, desperate to save Liz, but his ability offers him no immediate escape. As he stares at the screen, his power finally activates. However, what he sees is not the explosion the FBI is hoping for. Instead, Chris sees a horrifying broadcast from several hours in the future. Liz appears on screen. She is strapped to a wheelchair, fitted with a bomb vest. The terrorists have turned her into bait, using her as leverage to lure Chris into a trap. In the vision, the bomb detonates, killing her instantly. Chris screams in desperation, realizing this is not a future he can accept. Using the chaos created by his reaction, Chris escapes his restraints. He breaks free and races out of the facility, moving toward the parking garage where the vision showed Liz would be killed. Agent Callie Ferris catches up to him. For the first time, she fully understands that Chris is not acting out of selfishness. He is trying to save a life. Ferris makes him a deal. She promises to help rescue Liz if Chris agrees to help stop the nuclear bomb. Knowing he cannot save Liz alone, Chris agrees. Together, they prepare a plan to draw out the terrorists and locate the weapon. With Chris's assistance, the FBI tracks the terrorists to a port facility where they are operating. The moment they arrive, chaos erupts. Chris walks straight into the heart of the confrontation. Using his power, he anticipates every bullet, every movement, and every decision his enemies make. He moves through gunfire untouched, dodging attacks seconds before they happen. Chris reaches the terrorist leader and kills him, ending the immediate threat. Liz is rescued, shaken but alive. For a brief moment, it appears that everything has worked. But then reality hits. The bomb is not there. The terrorists had already moved it. Ferris leads Chris to a monitoring station and shows him a seismograph. She hopes that if Chris watches closely, he might see the vibrations caused by an explosion before it occurs. As Chris stares at the screen, his face changes. He realizes the truth. He was too late. The bomb detonates out at sea, triggering a massive explosion that destroys the port and the surrounding city. The devastation is total. Millions of lives are lost. The future Chris tried to prevent has already happened. Then everything changes. The timeline suddenly resets. Chris wakes up in bed with Liz at the motel in Arizona, the morning before Ferris ever arrived. None of the destruction has happened yet. The nuclear disaster has not occurred. Because of Liz's involvement in his life, Chris has now seen far beyond his normal 2-minute limit. He has witnessed every possible path leading to the explosion. For the first time, he understands the full scope of his ability. Chris realizes a crucial truth. Every time he looks into the future, it changes. Armed with this knowledge, Chris makes a different choice. He calls Callie Ferris. This time, he doesn't run. He doesn't hide. He offers his help willingly, telling her he knows how to stop the terrorists before the bomb ever detonates. Before leaving, Chris turns to Liz and asks her to wait for him. Unlike before, this future is not driven by desperation, but by choice. For the first time, Chris is no longer reacting to the future. He is shaping it.